Hey, Bevan, thank you for coming in. You got a remarkable journey. And, we had a prior interview where you shared some of your background. I know you kind of self-taught, and then you went recruited by Lockheed Martin. But prior to that, or I guess recruited by Lockheed Martin, who everybody knows. I think they're the world's largest defense contractor. And you led the U.S. Navy sonar arrays project. And during that time, you were also getting your degree, and then you developed this crypto trading platform of Old Dominion, and so you were very entrepreneurial during this time, and even prior to this, you're very entrepreneurial. And you did this workforce development platform with Elevate U, and then you started Collaborix. And the reason is built based on your decades of entrepreneurial experience, starting from when you were teens to working with the U.S. Navy, and then Lockheed Martin and Old Dominion, but all the time doing entrepreneurial, groundbreaking innovation. You're, sort of now focusing on Collaborix, taking all of that kind of background. And of course, you're a Loomis council member, active support initiatives related to nuclear safeguards and blockchain and practice programs. And you got this great friend, David Bray,
Yeah.
who's kind of like boy genius, who now is adult genius, but he's been working decades on these, you know, um, I guess, security clearance kind of programs and things like that, but also a lot of public stuff too. And then you do yoga, mixed martial arts, and you're a cycle instructor and so on. So I want to get that out of the way because we've talked about that before. So anyway, so just that amazing background of entrepreneurship and innovation and contribution. So thank you for sharing your insights with our audience.
I appreciate it, and I appreciate the opportunity.
So, in that quick sort of synopsis, anything you want to add to that? I know you did the first general data protection regulation social media platform, connecting users with 149 countries and things like that. Together, we talked about BitTrainer, your real-time simulation cryptocurrency trading platform, Old Dominion, and then your, classified work with the U.S. Navy and sonar arrays, and also with Lockheed Martin. Anything else you want to add to that journey?
No, I think you've pretty covered my life story since I was 14 to current day, but all of my entire journey of being in the Navy, traveling the world, working on technology, being able and fortunate to work on technology from Lockheed and the US government, it has helped me along the road to create what we have today with CollabWorks. So seeing all the, where all the potholes were along the journey and how people are working together has helped me with what we have today with CollabWorks.
So can you talk more about Collaborix? I know you founded it in 2021. David Bray has been sort of integrated into this. So can you give us that founding journey to what its purpose is, and then where you are today?
Right. I think the journey started. David Bray actually was the one who broached the idea to me on creating a decentralized, secure workplace data management platform. And we did a few case studies when he broached the idea on the missing pieces, the connectivity with the entire fragmented market, and what we're able to do to create a better product for the market. So the journey began with David, and I think I'd say 2 years down the road, we've had help from amazing people from all around, from Apple, from Google, from the Stimson Center, from just remarkable people from every walks of life, scientists. They've all weighed in on what we're doing today and how we can position our product to help businesses and the community at large.
So it really is kind of an elevated continuation in a way of some of the lessons you learned from Elevate U, right? The workforce development platform where you were trying to connect all different sort of communities together. And then from those learnings, you created Collaborex, right? So what is that, like who would be interested in using your platform?
Well, everyone would be interested in using our platform. What we've done really is it looked at the current market and created a very wholesome, centralized platform that connects projects, communication, um, collaboration, channels, video conference, and just be able to bring partners together without compromising your security or data of your existing company. So that's one of the things that we've done to position ourselves in the market today.
So how would you differentiate, for example, against Microsoft and, they're like a $3+ trillion giant, and they have elements of what you have. And of course they, you know, like how do you differentiate from them?
That's a very good question. Yes, we are similar indeed, but the main differentiator is we are also decentralized, or we call it on premises. So Microsoft Teams is not capable of being on-prem at any government or Fortune 500 company. So everything is in the cloud, and the way the climate is going with business and in 2025, and the way governments are looking at data and security, we feel like we are the perfect fit for today's environment.
Right. So you're differentiating because it'd be more secure, I guess, because you're kind of on premise, but it also then requires more resources, right?
Right. You said it requires resources.
Yeah. Like if you're,
Right. Yeah. So the company has to be able to have the infrastructure to set up our platform and all the connective, all the ins and outs with what they're needed. It's more of a tailored product. So we will tailor CollabWorks for the industry based on your hardware infrastructure that you're currently working at. So it's versatile and flexible and can be integrated into almost any organization. It's pretty lightweight.
what if they wanted to do, tie this into some of the cloud services they use? Like, do you have that kind of capability as well?
Excuse me, I didn't catch that fully.
So a lot of companies that could have on-premise, but they also may have cloud capabilities. So um, do you have some ability to integrate with the cloud?
Absolutely. That's our second differentiator as well. We have a federated network that organizations that carry on-prem can also access this federated network for partners or collaborators they're looking to connect with. So yeah, we do have options based on the level of your security that you want, how risk averse you are, but we can tap you into the cloud infrastructure as well if you need to.
So where are you now? You've got ongoing revenue. What's your ARR? I mean, are you sort of,
Yes, we have launched in January 20th of this year. We did a year of beta in 2024, and we collected a bunch of information, and we've revised the platform multiple times based on the feedback that we've received from the industry. We've had over 75 businesses participated, and over 2,000 people participated in the beta. And after the beta, we launched January 20th, and we've had a very uh, impressive first month in the market. We've added over 121 businesses within the first month. We've added over 3,600 customers in 144 country. And believe it or not, we actually have people paying for the product within the first month, which exceeds our expectations for the month. We catered for a very small amount, but uh, you know really Really amazing organizations has joined CollabWorks within the first month, and I will throw a name out there: NATO. NATO was one of the first large organizations that joined CollabWorks within the first month. I feel it's because of our high level of security, our GDPR, and our compliance, and giving you the ability to own everything you do, your IP within our product. It's all yours.
I see. So you got this defense alliance in Europe as a client using your Collaborate's platform because it's secure and it has all of the kind of requirements that they would need in terms of bringing together different stakeholders, being able to manage projects, doing communications within this platform, or working across time zones with one convenient single sign-on. So you got all of the pieces for an agile work management platform. You're using so there you have the ability to use Teams. What's your tech stack again?
Uh, Video conference, event suite, project management, team lounge, channels, cloud suite, and also multilateral collaboration, all in one, all in one platform.
Are you using any of the big tech providers for?
We are using AWS and GoDaddy at the moment,
I see.
which has been really, really good. The security and everything that Amazon provides us relating to the storage is really top notch and aligned with all federal and government compliances. So it
Right.
makes things a little easy for us.
Okay, so that's part of your kind of tech stack would be AWS and GoDaddy, as you mentioned, right? So
Right. Right.
okay, so what's the onboarding process like? Like, let's say somebody hears about, like, somebody out in the audience hears about CollaborX from this interview. I mean, how do they sign up? How do they, what?
It's very simple. What we've done is we've looked at the market and we've looked at the business models on the market today, and we wanted to bring something different to the market. We wanted to give people the ability at the small business level, all the way up to Fortune 500, to be able to create and launch a space on CollabWorks for free. And one of the differentiators between the rest of the market and us is we give you the ability to bring all your members on board for free. Unlike Microsoft Teams and Slack, where you have to pay for individual members, you're able to do that at 100% for life on CollabWorks.
I see. So you're kind of like a freemium model. Then you,
Right.
so you have the ability for people to use your platform, um, and then what is the paid service? You got to get more. So what does the paid service look?
Right. Right. So we have three core features that our customers can scale. So you'll be able to come in and use the communication and the messaging for free and be able to communicate with your team, create channels for free as well, and be able to segment your teams into different channels. And the three core features are cloud, video conference, and projects. So you're able to scale those individually based on the needs of your team. So you don't have to buy everything all at once. You're able to scale based on which direction your team is going in and what you guys actually need. So it brings a lot of cost savings to the table right off the bat and be able to help you to ramp up to your fullest capacity without having to spend money on individual people coming and going.
And then what does the paid service provide?
The paid service, you're actually able to buy projects. So we give you um, cloud storage, a bit of cloud storage. We give you a project, and we also give you 20 hours of secure video conference. This is for everyone. And if you exceed those amount, you can pay individually $6, and you can get three projects for $6, or you can spend $10 and get 20 gigs of storage based on the need of your team.
I see. So you just get more. if
Right.
if you want to scale and paying some kind of monthly fee of some subscription fee.
Right, right. It's a dashboard. It's a scaling dashboard with three dials that you can turn up or turn down based on the need. And we're the only company out there right now that allows you to scale your resources down based on how things are going with your team or your business.
You know, there's so much movement on AI, a tremendous amount of investment. Are you using any aspect of artificial intelligence?
We are using AI to automate all of your analytics based on your projects, based on your usage of the platform and what you guys are doing to give you, you know, reports weekly, due date reports. There's a lot of things that we're doing with AI when it comes to data management.
I see. And are you using any of the LLM generative AI technologies or more the statistical or other kind?
No, yeah, no LML, none of that at the moment. Just basic stuff for data management and make sure that you have your reports and stuff. That's where we're starting for now. And then we're going to look more into uh, being able to integrate it into the multiple different workspaces on the platform, because we do have a community with multiple different industries working together and be able to collaborate in one holistic environment. So we're looking to add AI to each sector to be able to enhance that sector and what you're doing for your business. So we want it to work for our customers on the highest level. So we're looking around right now, and there's a lot of competition out there. There's open source models now that are currently out there that we're just looking, but right now we're just using it for data management.
Okay, so we got a pretty good idea what Collaborix is. It's an agile work management platform that simplifies collaboration. You got the sort of freemium model where you can freely use it. And then once you scale past a certain point, then there's modest fees that can be applied. And you can scale things up and down, and allows you to for partners and projects and teams and communications and under one convenient sign-on. And because you have security embedded into it, that's why you got NATO as already a client, and you got good traction even though you just launched. You got customers already, you got businesses using it, you're scaling across over 100 countries. So you got a great sort of journey. And so let's now move on from that conversation, because we explored Collaborix in quite a bit of detail. And let's move into your entrepreneurial journey. So you were an entrepreneur as a teenager. You were an entrepreneur basically doing innovation entrepreneurship when you were in the Navy with Lockheed Martin. At Old Dominion, it's just kind of in your DNA.
Right.
So what advice now, based on now you're fully embedded into Collaborix, and you learned a lot of lessons and they were all sort of embedded in Collaborix. What are 5 tips, or maybe it's less than that or more, that you want to give to budding entrepreneurs who want to start a company, so.
Well, I would say one of the first things that an entrepreneur would need to really carve out is making sure that the business that you're about to get into, uh, it's well vetted with the marketplace, having the ability to enter the market and be able to grow in the market. Most entrepreneurs develop product for the market, and when the product hits the market, it fails, which I've done before. But what we've done this time is develop the product for the customer. So there was a massive need for uh, a unified platform right now on the market, because um, there are major data out there that shows that switching between multiple tools um, cause problems with workflows, cause timing issues, cause collaboration issues, and so forth. So we've heard all of the noise in the market and all of the problems people were having with existing technologies such as Microsoft Teams, that that prevented them from collaborating strongly with external partners and safeguarding their data. So these are things that we've looked at uh, hard and went out and created a product for the customer instead of just creating it because the market needs it. So I think that that would be one of the very first advice. I think it would go a long way so you don't waste time and money and energy following something that might be too early for the market.
Okay, so that's one. And what's your second tip?
My second tip would be putting together a well-versed team, a team that has been there, done it, and is still in the game and is still hungry to be able to go out there and reach further with their ideas and or our company, what we have going on. So building a team is very important. It'll make you or break you in the long run for sure, and making sure that everyone is like-minded to the goal and the vision of the company. So because I've had uh, teams before where we've created a product and got on the market, and then when we got to the market, um, founders see things differently. We want to enter the market differently. And it's a bit of a problem being able to move forward if you're not all together. So having a strong team that believes in the vision and the mission is very important for the growth of your company and for the life of your company. So that would be the second piece of advice.
Right. So far you talked about, not focus on the technology, but actually look at a real problem, of which technology in the product is a solution to an existing problem. And so
Right.
you've got a problem solution fit, you've got a product market fit. There's a market there, it needs to be addressed. So you're very customer pain oriented and then solving that pain in some way. And then you talked about making sure that you don't necessarily have to have the same skills. You could have complementary skills, but making sure that the people you partner with are aligned on the same vision anyways, right?
Right.
And in terms of that journey, they have to be resilient and agile. They have to be ready for the volatility that's associated with a startup. And often, CB Insights and others have done studies of why startups fail, and actually team disruption is a big one, right? Where they just
Right.
work together. So you have to have the ability to work together. Okay, so that's two. Do you have another one?
Um, Definitely. I would say there's your initial team, and then there is your team that you will go and you'll build upon that initial team. And I think that's also another important thing to look at is adding people outside of your founding team to help grow the company and reach new levels and reach new customers is very important. So the people that you add to your team as you grow, as you step out, also need to be high level as well to be able to execute moving forward with your timeline, with your goals, and so forth. So adding existing people as well. So that is also another hurdle for young entrepreneurs is navigating that. Do you give out equity? Do you start hiring them, kind of thing? Because you're going to need people as you grow, which is currently happening to us right now. So we're looking to bring in individuals, so you need to make sure that kind of the same thing, they've been there, done that, and they're able to pick up what you're doing and take that to the next stage. So that's kind of like two as well, but a little bit of three because it continues down the path.
Right. So you have this founding team, and in fact, it should be lean. In other words, don't overhire. You want to not have wasted expenses and things like that. But at some point, you're exceeding the capabilities of the capacity of the founders, and you need to bring other people on. So very mindful of who you bring on, and then you have to be thinking about, well, should I give up some equity for these people I'm bringing on? Because they're really, in essence, like founder plus, right? Step
Right.
more to the initial startup, and so what is your sort of program? Are you giving up a little bit of equity to these plus?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I do not have a problem there, as long as they can bring something substantial to the table, with them as they come to help us grow, because the goal is to really grow the company, and to be able to work with multiple partners to be able to do that as well. So, that is a very important thing. We are open to that. We are open to the right people, who've been there, done that before, and has the capability to help us get to the next level for the Series A, Series B, Series C down the road, and so forth, and maybe even, a sale of the company as well.
Right. So, in interviews, you're not allowed to solicit, so you have to keep this very neutral. Um, but you've gone through fundraising and things like that. So, what advice, just generic sort of recommendations, would you give, not for yourself, but just in general for entrepreneurs in that fundraising mechanism? So, you talked about Series A, Series B. Some in the audience may not know what that means. They may not know, what's pre-seed is, and then seed and angel investors, and then
Right.
pre-series Series A, B, and C. Can you talk about, um, not for you specifically, so we don't get into any kind of regulatory issues, but just in general, if you're fundraising, what kind of recommendations would you give to entrepreneurs?
Well, entrepreneurs starting out, definitely seek out friends and family and angel investors in the beginning. So, there's not a lot of stress, being applied to you to go to revenue, or to, put the product out in the market when it's not ready. So you always want to seek the low hanging fruit with your idea. Start with friends and families. See if you can find an angel investor, or someone that that has been in the space before, that can probably help you. That would be the best place to start for every entrepreneur. Um,
So
and
let
Go
me
ahead.
just interrupt briefly here. Um, do you believe that the founder has to put in some capital as well?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Well, the founder is the leader of the project, is the leader of the company. So I would definitely want to see a founder show his commitment to, or her commitment to, the initial project for sure. More than just sweat equity, but be able to, put up their own money to show that they believe in the product moving forward, which we've done as well.
So we'll continue on this kind of funding recommendation. I'm an investor, and I get pitched constantly, and there's a lot of part-time people. They would say, "Well, it's a part-time. I'm going to start a company, and I'm going to do it part-time." And of course, I have to spend time with my family on the weekends. And you know, what are your recommendations from a time standpoint? Should a founder be full-time? Recommend the founder should have some um, funding into this project as well. Otherwise, it's actually hard to attract external money, right? Unless people say, you've committed to it. So, what are your recommendations from the founder? Part-time, full-time? What kind of commitment do they have? Can they work, not work weekends? How does that work?
Uh, well, it depends on the scope of the project, and what you're trying to do, what you're trying to bring to the market. In our case, we always look for mega projects. Social media companies, work management, data management companies. So we always look for large companies to create a large stack. So my commitment had to be full time, because we've created this in 2 years, and it took pretty much about 16 hours a day every day for about 2 years, 2.5 years, to be able to deliver the beta product on the market. So if you really believe in the product and you really believe that it could solve a problem on the market, I believe your commitment should be complete. If your commitment is part-time, then the project and the scope may take longer and you might miss the market entry point for what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
So,
And also investors, if investors think that you're part-time, they probably won't invest.
right, right, right,
It's a
right.
risk, right?
Right. We are full time. I've been full time. I love what I do, so I don't feel like I've overcommitted my time to something like this because I know it could solve a major problem that exists right now on the market with this fragmented tools and how much effort and time wasted is spent switching between products every single day. And we have the solution for that, and not just for that, but for Fortune 500 and government and NGOs that are risk averse, and manufacturing companies and building companies who want to safeguard their data. Uh, we have built our product to be able to make those customers feel uh, um, like they can innovate without compromise.
So we're still on the funding journey as generic advice based on just your experience. I wouldn't say advice. Let's not even use that term. Just some insights, right? Because we definitely are not giving advice in that sense here, but but maybe some insights. So you talked about initially the founder should be committed. Otherwise, who's going to bet on you if you're just part time and you're not committed? You talked about the early capital has to come in from the founder and friends and family and other people. And the reason there is they're a little bit more forgiving uh,
Right.
to wait as you build the product, and there's not expectation of immediate revenue or an immediate return, so they're more forgiving to help the entrepreneur launch their vision and their startup. So you have that early kind of funding coming in, but then you have to start at some point get institutional capital. Institutional capital would be things like venture capitalists. It could be family offices who have some kind of VC aspect to them. It could be a bank or a corporate or whatever. Um, what are some of the insights that you want to provide to the audience when they're on that journey to go with VCs and things like that, right? I mean, what what kind of recommendations would you give there?
Good. Those are really good questions. I would say the insight is make sure your product speaks for itself. Your whatever you're developing, whatever you're doing, can stand on its own, can stand strong, can produce exactly what it says it can do. So you don't have to spend a lot of time proving your product, proving that there's a market fit, proving that customers want your product. And if all those things are checked off, then going into that stage of raising venture or private funds uh, it could be a lot easier on you because the product has traction, it's growing, you're adding businesses or whatever you're doing, and it speaks for itself. So that would be one of the insights I would make sure that your product sells itself and you don't have to, do a dance around just to show or prove to people that it actually works.
Yeah, I mean, because I've been involved in this area for a long time, I mean, pitched from really kind of notable people who created or who are innovated as a scientist. And then they come in and they with a $300 million valuation and they don't even have an MVP. So uh,
Right.
and they don't realize sometimes that even if they have research indicating that they have something that works, unless you have a product that actually addresses some kind of need and some kind of traction, you can't, it's hard to get $300 million valuations and things like that.
Right.
And, or, and sometimes they're in for a bit of a shock because they'll find that, they can't get funding, additional funding. So what you're saying makes sense, right? You got to show some traction in the marketplace. There's people willing to pay for your product and service. It's refined enough that people can use it. You got scaling capabilities. You got more and more customers willing to pay for it. You're showing growth. And then when you go for institutional capital, like VCs and that, then they can say, okay, um, that reduces their risk, right? Because it's risky if somebody I mean, it's almost impossible. If you just have an idea and you have no background, why would anybody take that risk? Right.
Right.
So
We spent a lot of time focused on that, making sure that our product fits the market, and customers, find value from it, find ROI. And I think after we hit those marks, we felt good about ourselves, and we were able to move on to the next stage. So everything that we've done from the time we've launched beta to the original product has been on a timeline for us, in from registering users to conversion of users. And there were like there's 4 different types of conversions we've had with our user before we can even get to selling our customers on our product. We wanted to make sure that they were happy, the product works for them, and they were able to scale their business the way they wanted to.
yeah, and then so we'll complete this section here. Um, and this is something I'd recommend to the audience. Is there's something called the investment readiness level. Steve Blank and some of his colleagues came out with this program. It's 9 levels. You can search for it on the internet. You have these kind of recommendations of what you should have. You should definitely have real traction, like not just people telling you it's a great product and they want to use it.
Right.
Anybody can say happy things to you. Makes a difference if people are saying, hey, I'm going to subscribe and use it, and I'm willing to work out money or something like that, right? So you need real validation and scaling validation, and then you're more apt to get people supporting you. And then even from a funding standpoint, if you get additional investors, then make sure it's better to have a strategic investor than a financial investor, just my opinion.
I agree. I definitely agree. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for a strategic investor who understands the landscape. Because I know our product is unique in the sense of,
Now,
you know,
careful though, we can't pitch here.
right, right,
Okay.
right.
So no pitching, right?
No pitching. Right.
Right. So a strategic investor, let me define it. And this is general recommendations to the audience. It's one that, like Microsoft would be a strategic investor. In other words, they're investing, but they're a company. They can acquire that company. They maybe to recommend that company to their employees. In fact, they have something called Microsoft for Startups. Any startup can apply. There's something called the Pegasus program for the under 1% of the startups in their ecosystem. And then when they get into the Pegasus system, then those companies can be part of the commercial kind of ecosystem of Microsoft, where they'll showcase those companies, right? So a strategic investor is one that can help do business development in some way for that company. And then I gave an example. NVIDIA has the same thing. They have an ecosystem. There's some partnership now between NVIDIA and their startup ecosystem, and Microsoft. Amazon has similar. Google, all of the big corporates have some kind of startup program, but when they invest, then they can add value to that. So those are strategic investors, right? So we're looking to help guide that company or support them in any way they can. So that's the kind of generic advice, but with examples of people who they can partner with or get some investment. Okay, so we talked about your journey from a funding standpoint and sort of, you know, some of the insights you gained as you got on your funding journey. Okay, we'll leave that aside now, and let's discuss where do you see the marketplace going? So since we last talked, you saw a lot more open source and global open source, and that's disrupted the market where people thought that only the hyperscalers, the big companies, could produce these AI models, but now you're getting sort of more traction on the open source. What are your feelings about that? Open source versus the hyperscalers? And
Well, open source is good. We like open source. That has helped us, add product to our platform in a secure way as well. So having open source availability out there for multiple different types of products is very important for us because it helps us grow and attach very quickly and be able to, vet that part of the technology before we take it online, see if customers want it or not. So open source helps us develop a lot faster and a lot cleaner in multiple aspects. So we've relied a lot on open source, and we've looked at open source because it's, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm in software, and I really like certain technologies out there. Um, as for, you said the other one was maximum.
there's really kind of two areas, right? You can go through hyperscalers like or OpenAI and people who offer
Right,
services and products, or but it's not open source. They don't really give it out. You have to pay for it.
right, 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 right,
Where it's
right. So we just focus on the stuff that, we don't focus on the Chat GPT style product to integrate because that would just, that's one of the things that we don't want to do. We don't want to add external integrations that create dependencies. And we don't want to do that at all because then if that part of the technology shuts down or it's having security issues or security breaches, then our customers is also exposed to that as well. So that's one of the reasons we've tried to not fragment our tools, but keep them all centralized and unique. So this also helps us with our decentralized system / on-premises system. This also helps us create a better version of that because with SharePoint has prevented teams from being really a on-prem product. So we focused on definitely the tools that we can utilize for free and build on our own and continue to existing build on top of it if we need to and to get to where we need to for our customers.
okay. So is there any kind of predictions you want to make that are outside of software and AI? Do you follow other market trends like quantum computing and chip technologies? And
Oh, we follow we follow pretty much everything that's on the market today, because we want to be the Swiss Army knife of the data management workspace. We want to uh, be able to see how we can grow, which areas are expanding, what new technologies are out there with AI, quantum, how it can help us, the Web3 type stuff. We're always looking at what's on the market, what's hot, what's trending. If we can incorporate it, what our customers think about it. That is something that we lean into daily because it shows where the market is going, and with the new 2025 look with security and compliance and being able to safeguard your data and technology from competitors is also a big trend right now. So that's why we think that we're going to be a very useful tool for companies, organizations, government right now, because we can be tailored for any enterprise slash organization on the market today for what your needs are. So we can go from in-house to hybrid work as well too, and be able to safeguard all of these things.
So, can you um, talk about things that you think are interesting on the horizon? So not tied to your company necessarily, but just things that you think are interesting on the horizon, and be specific, for example.
Uh, Definitely AI for sure. We are heavily focused on that because we think it could be a game changer for small businesses being able to utilize AI to help them manage their data, manage their day to day, being able to create a better outlook for them to be able to do as much work as possible without having to bring on people within their space and be able to communicate with everyone on their team. So we feel AI will play a very important and intricate part with the small business area that we're looking at. We're looking to be able to serve, because a lot of the existing tools right now are not really built for the small to medium sized businesses. And we think AI could be a massive game changer in that when it comes to growing business and scaling businesses as quickly as possible. We see integrations and how it's being utilized on multiple different platforms. And we think that just adding it to uh, a workspace that caters to that business or that entrepreneur, and AI that fits their model would be tremendous. That's how we're looking at it. We're definitely going to be utilizing AI in multiple different ways to help our businesses grow.
Any other areas that are outside of AI, that you're following and you think are really interesting, and you'd recommend the audience take a look at it?
Right now, no. Right now, markets are, kind of in flux. Everything is in flux. Everything is going through a transition phase. So, it would be, I would say see me in about 3 to 6 months and I'll have a better outlook for you then. There's just so much disruption happening right now, so much reconfiguration happening right now. It's just really hard to take the temperature right now. But we know AI is definitely leading the charge with the next future of iteration of products on the market. From that to drones, there's just so many industries right now that are up and coming that is definitely in our sights as well too. So not too much to share on that, but a lot's happening right now that we don't know which direction things are going to go in. So we want to kind of sit and be able to take it in and be able to make proper decisions moving forward. So nothing right now other than AI and some of the drone stuff. But that's it for now. I don't think I can share anything else based on the current forecast, temperature, the markets these days.
Okay, so this will be the final question then. What recommendations or questions you want to leave the audience?
Recommendations. My recommend my recommendation is a lot of things are about to change. The way business is done, the way data is handled, the way how people want to do business is going to change. And I think people should uh, be able to take advantage of some of these new opportunities that will present itself on the market today. And just kind of figure out where they can fit in and make a difference, and how to go about making that difference as well. So you know be able to gather as much information as possible, because I think there's lots of opportunities ripe on the market right now, and people just need to see where things fall out and guide themselves in that direction.
Well, excuse me. So those are great pieces of advice. So Bevan, thank you for coming in. we quickly sort of explored your prior journey as a serial entrepreneur, even from your teens to your Navy career to Lockheed Martin to Old Dominion to Elevate U to Collaborex. We spent quite a bit of time on Collaborex. We talked about your work with the Loomis Council, mentioned on the nuclear safeguards and blockchain. And then, but we really mined a lot about Collaborex and your experience there. And then from your work with Collaborex, because you're a serial entrepreneur, you shared some of the lessons, some of the recommendations, insights that you gained as a serial entrepreneur, where you talked about, what that early journey looks like, making sure you got the right team, making sure you got proper validation, you got a real solution that actually addresses a real market need rather than just building technology for technology's sake. And then you talked about what that funding journey would look like for a typical entrepreneur, right? From angel investors or friends and family to getting more institutional investors and things that they're looking for. And then you also provided your insights about the future of the marketplace and of all the things that are out there that you said AI is just going to continue to accelerate and be embedded, and people need to be mindful of that. So thank you for coming in and sharing your journey with us.
Really, thank you for having me, and I appreciate this opportunity to share a bit about myself and our company today and what we're trying to solve on the market today. So thank you, Stephen. I appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you for listening to the Brand Called You videocast and podcast, a platform that brings you knowledge, experience, and wisdom of hundreds of successful individuals from around the world. Do visit our website www.tbcy.in to watch and listen to the stories of many more individuals. You can also follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just search for the Brand Called You.